This is where the horror begins. This is the entrance to the Suffolk County Family Court and Supreme Court building. Everybody going in here is in for a bunch of misery. They're in for a world of hurt. They're in for destruction of their families, and we're going to talk to them as they come out. You'll look at everybody's face as they go in. Most of the people aren't going to be smiling. That's because nothing good comes out of this building. Many people have been coming here for 5, 10, some even 15 years, every single month, taking off from work, taking time out of their day to come here into this hellhole. This is the entrance to hell. Hi, how are you? Gary Jacobs. I'm with Long Island Backstory, and we're doing a story on the horrors of family court. What's your name?
I'm Isaac McNair.
And what were you here for today, Isaac?
You know, me and my wife was going through some troubles. You know, we just got divorced or whatnot. You know, it was a real heartbreak. You know, it cost me a lot of money, you know, a lot of pain, you know. But, you know, that's the way the system is, you know.
Since you've been going, how much would you say this has cost you? And between your attorney's fees, your ex-wife's attorney fees, forensics, law guardians, how much would you say you spent in this courthouse?
I'd say about $80,000, $90,000, or possibly even more. I'm 68 years old. I'll be 69 years old, and I do not feel that they're treating me in any way, shape, or form as a parent or as a human being.
What's your name?
Chris.
Chris, and what were you here for today in family court?
Modification of child support.
I'm assuming that you're not here to modify it in an upward manner.
Yeah, no.
And why do you need to modify it? Is this something that you agreed to originally, or was this something that was ordered by the court?
Something that was ordered by the court on their behalf.
Okay, on their behalf?
Yeah.
And how long have you been paying?
Over a year.
Okay.
And now I'm trying to modify it, you know, disabled, collecting disability, they're taking 75% of it.
Wow, so you're left with 25% of your disability to live on.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Do you feel like you were, as a father, you were treated fairly today in the courthouse?
Absolutely not.
And did you feel like that at the beginning, or is this just because now that you're going in for the downward modification that you feel like they're not being fair to you?
It's the whole time. It's all about the women. It's a women's court. You know, it's a women's world in the courthouse.
And how did it go today with the downward modification?
Just as I expected. Fill out these papers, have them served, come back.
Were you here with an attorney today, or were you representing yourself?
Representing myself. Can't afford an attorney.
I was going to say, left with 25% of your disability, there can't be much left to deal with. What about your ex-wife? Did she come in with attorney, or did the child support unit help her try to get the money from you?
Child support unit helps.
Did you ever ask them for help in defending yourself, or you just here on your own?
I have asked for public assistance, you know, the public defender, but being that they're taking me to court, I'm not entitled to it.
So she's on their behalf. They're fighting to get the money from you. So actually, the taxpayer is paying to have her keep you paying more money that you can't afford.
Pretty much.
Now, let me ask this: with this amount, I'm sure it's hard to live on. What happens if you can't keep up with this amount? You know, them taking 75%. How are you supposed to live?
I have no idea.
A class of people can, in fact, be systematically oppressed or victimized, and I don't care what Marx wrote about it or whether or not the feminists are using the same language for their own political agenda. The fact, for example, that blacks at one point in history were targeted for slavery means that at this point in history, they were a group of people identified, in this case by their race, that were selectively targeted for enslavement, meaning they were, in fact, oppressed. So, yes, men can be oppressed as a class. They can be victims. They can be victimized. And using the word victim or oppressed is not code word for being, quote, just like the feminists. I hope we're getting that, because I'm done allowing feminists or right-wing conspiracy weirdos to control the language I use. So again, the burden of proof for those that claim oppression is on them, and I'll gladly give you an example of just how men are actually victimized and oppressed. The following link in the description box talks about a man being jailed numerous times for failing to pay his wife's $78,000 a year alimony payment. That is a form of oppression. The man did not commit any crime. His only offense was the admittedly stupid act of getting married. And this is an example of a man being oppressed by the current supposedly just legal system in place merely for being a man who was married at one point in time. He is forced to pay money he earns to a woman he no longer has anything to do with, and that is a form of slavery. A form of slavery that is rewarded with another form of slavery, a trip to jail if he fails to be a productive slave to his ex-wife slave master. That, my friends, is why men can say they are victimized. That is why men can say they are oppressed.